Hitler's mountain commando air raid to free Mussolini. Italy's Mussolini and Germany's Hitler were two of a kind, and best mates. Both got to lead their countries, Mussolini in 1922 and Hitler in 1933, by force and a combination of legal and illegal means to overthrow democratic institutions. Both believed in revolutionary nationalism and the use of violent, paramilitary enforcers. Both sought to expand their influence through conflicts with other countries, seeking living space, recognition, and an expanded empire organized to their design. On the 10th of June, 1940, by which time Hitler had conquered most of Europe, Mussolini entered World War II on Hitler's side, although Italy was ill-prepared after years of costly campaigns. But it all went wrong. On the 25th of July, 1943, after the Allies won in North Africa and invaded Italy from the south, Italy's king dismissed and arrested Mussolini and signed an armistice with the Allies. After several prison locations, Mussolini was finally imprisoned by Italy in the Hotel Campo Imperatore, on a remote plateau 6,930 feet, 2,112 meters, high on the Gran Sasso mountain range, northeast of Rome, the world's highest prison. On the 12th of September, 1943, after locating Mussolini and considering all options, and armed with only basic photos and intelligence, one of World War II's greatest secret commando raids by air took place. A jubilant Hitler successfully rescued Mussolini from the Italians and subsequently made Mussolini head of the new German puppet state, Northern Italy, the Italian Social Republic. Mussolini was sacked and arrested in Rome, and finally imprisoned in the Hotel Campo Imperatore, Gran Sasso mountain range, northeast of Rome. The Hotel Campo Imperatore was one of 3 originally planned hotels, but the only one that was ever built, shaped in the letters D, V, and X, together DVX, the Latin word meaning leader from which Mussolini's Italian title El Duce was derived. The D-shaped Hotel Campo Imperatore was constructed to celebrate Mussolini's rule, but instead served as his prison for several weeks before his rescue. The operation to free Mussolini began at 1 p.m. on the 12th of September, 1943, to be at the hotel by 2 p.m. 10 gliders, each with a pilot and 9 soldiers, and each tied to a tow plane, departed a military airbase near Rome, now Lire Pratica di Mare Air Base. They were followed by a Fieseler stalk to pick up Mussolini. A stalk is shown here at modern-day Lire. German paratroopers captured the valley cable car station leading up to the hotel, large white area, bottom center, and cut the telephone lines to the hotel. The motorized land column from Rome then arrived at the cable car station, just as the gliders were overhead the hotel, perfect coordination. The hotel is the large dark building. The cable car station is in front of and to the left of the hotel. The roads, car park, towers, astronomy building, far left, and second cable car station, behind and to the right of the hotel, are all post-World War II. The tow planes cast off the gliders at a height of 9,843 feet, 3,000 meters, and a distance of 4 kilometers from the hotel target, which is on the ridge ahead and a little right of the glider. After an initial pass, the gliders went behind the mountain to fool the Italians into thinking the target was not the Hotel Campo Imperatore. The gliders crash-landed on the rough, rocky, partly level surface near the hotel and up to 150 meters from it, with their heavy suspension cushioning the impact, and with barbed wire-covered skates and deployable parachutes to help braking. Three gliders were meant to land near the hotel and the others in the field left-hand side, shown without circles, but the field was not as good as thought from the rudimentary photos, so the actual landings were more spread out, shown with circles. One crashed heavily, off the photo, injuring those on board. Some gliders were able to land very close to the hotel. The Germans overwhelmed Mussolini's captors, 200 well-equipped Italian guards, without firing a single shot. An Italian general was forced to fly on the raid as a hostage, and he ordered the guards not to shoot. 10 minutes after the beginning of the raid, Mussolini left the hotel, accompanied by the German soldiers, and awaited the arrival of the Stork aircraft. The cable car station to the left of the hotel was also taken by the Germans so that it could be used by the land force reinforcements coming up from the valley. Mussolini was to be flown out by a Fieseler Stork aircraft that had arrived in the meantime. Although the small plane would be overloaded, a senior German insisted on accompanying Mussolini, which endangered the mission's success. The Germans work hard removing stones and setting out markers to prepare a takeoff strip for the Stork. After an extremely dangerous but successful takeoff, overloaded and with a tailwind and sheer drop ahead, the Stork with Mussolini on board bounced off the falling slope and flew the approx 1-hour route back to Patrica di Mare Air Base near Rome. At Patrica di Mare Air Base, the Germans immediately transferred Mussolini to a Heinkel HE-111, as shown here, to fly to Vienna, where Mussolini stayed overnight. The next day, Mussolini was flown from Vienna in a Junkers 52 to Munich. Junkers 52 shown here over EDDM Munich International, and then on to Kietzen Airport in Poland for the short trip by car or train to meet his family and a jubilant Hitler at Führer HQ, the Wolf's Lair, near Rassenburg, Poland. Mussolini and Hitler at the Wolf's Lair. The Wolf's Lair was Hitler's top-secret, heavily fortified, military HQ in Poland during World War II, 80 buildings spread over many acres, serving as the command center for planning key operations like the invasion of the Soviet Union. Built in a heavily fortified forest complex with bunkers, barracks, and other facilities, it was the site of a famous failed assassination attempt on Hitler in 1944. In 1945, as Soviet forces advanced, the Germans destroyed the site with explosives, and today its ruins are a tourist attraction and a somber reminder of the war. Route of Mussolini's rescue from Hotel Campo Imperatore, Italy, to the Wolf's Lair, Poland. But in the end, Mussolini's rescue was all for nothing, as the Allies were now slowly winning, and on the 28th of April, 1945, 2 days before Hitler shot himself, Mussolini and his mistress were captured and executed by Italian partisans on the shore of Lake Como, Italy, while attempting to flee to Switzerland, and then their bodies were hung upside down for public display in Piazza Loreto, Milan, Italy. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked. Now finish off with some live footage of the major tourist attraction that is the ruins of Hitler's Wolf's Lair in Poland.